Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Concussion Nerds podcast. In truth, this one's probably going to be short and sweet because I want to hit on that topic again of there is not just one way to heal. And when I say this, sometimes it surprises people because I am obviously a physical therapist and I work with people from all over the place. And what I do is one component. And if you've been with me long enough, you know that one of the things that riles me up the most a little bit is when someone hears, or as a clinician, I find out or hear that we're saying to somebody that this is as good as you're going to get. This is it for you. Like, this is your new normal. You need to get used to this. And I get my back up a bit because the question is always, for me, what gives us the right? What gives us the right to tell someone they're never going to change? What gives us the right to tell someone they're never going to evolve? What gives us the right to tell someone that they're never going to shift from this place where they are now? Because when you say to somebody, this is as good as you're going to get, that, this is your new normal, then you are shutting down any opportunity for evolution and change that they will still achieve. When instead the conversation in that scenario might be, as a clinician, we've reached my ceiling, and I don't think that there's anything that I can specifically help you with at this moment. We had someone call the clinic the other day, and they were calling, they'd been referred in by another colleague of ours, and give huge props to this person that called in, because when they called, they actually said to my client services person, I'm concerned that Natasha might be biased because of, what she does. Fair enough. I'm a physical therapist. I treat concussion. It's what I do every day. But I'm probably also one of the lesser biased people you're ever going to meet, because in this place today and in this day and age today, when you are working with someone with persistent concussion, it's not just one thing. It's not. It is so rarely just one thing. Now, 100% where I come into play is that I help people rehab in their systems, right? So I help people rehab the neurology, the physiology, so that their systems talk better together so that they can function. Full stop, right? The other pieces we dig into, though, are those things around the holistic approach, the lifestyle, the mindset, the nutrition, past trauma history. And I, of course, am not the person to treat all those components. And so when I work with somebody, sometimes from my assessment and what I can treat in my clinic, sometimes I don't see things that can explain some of the symptoms that my client in front of me is still having. And when I see that, I say that to the client. But it's not a discussion of this is as good as you're going to get. It's a discussion of, in what I'm seeing in my assessment, I'm not necessarily seeing what I would expect to be contributing to the symptoms that you're sharing with me that you're feeling. These symptoms are real, and so we need to find another path on what could be contributing to this. It's a very different conversation than a clinician or a physician or a specialist telling somebody, this is as good as you're going to get. I really do mark it as the equivalent of someone telling me, you're never going to change. You're never going to grow. How you are today, Natasha, is how you're going to be the rest of your life. When you say to somebody who's been on this journey and been fighting for change and being optimistic and hopeful that they're going to improve, and you come along as the expert or the clinician or the specialist, and you say to somebody, this is your new normal, this is as good as you're going to get, that is ultimately the equivalent of someone saying to you or someone just saying me, you're never going to change. How you are today, this is how you're going to be. Now, if you're someone sitting here listening to this and you're not on a concussion journey, or you're a clinician working with people and someone said to you, if I said to you, again, I'm just going to say this again, you're never going to change. This is as good as it's going to be. How you are today is how it's going to stay. This is you today. This is your normal. You're going to have to get accustomed to it and get used to it. How does that make you feel? Let's just pause for a second. How does that really, clearly I'm a little bit fired up today, but really sit back and pay attention to how does that feel in your body? I'll tell you right now, in my body, it makes me feel sick. I feel like it knocks me down a rung. I feel like that means someone's giving up on me and the potential that I have as a human. When if you know me, you also know I am nowhere near the same person I was 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. So whether we can help somebody from a clinical standpoint or not, never, please never say those words, this is as good as you're going to get. And when we talk about this, we're talking about healing happens for so many different reasons and so many different ways. It is the truth. When we look at, for example, just trauma and growth and tapping into yourselves, traditionally people think of going to see a therapist or a psychologist. Yes, that's one way. But what about finding ways to tune into and tap into your body just to get grounded in your body and paying attention to what makes you happy again? What about finding ways to find safety in your own body with your own skill sets and your own toolbox to have the comfort to use your voice because of the love you feel for yourself? Right? What if we have tools beyond talking all the time and we can get tuned back into ourselves? We are leading the virtual summit, the Concussion Nerds virtual summit this fall. And what I'm so excited about is yes, 100% there is going to be education for you. Both whether you are a clinician or you're someone on the journey, we have people coming to talk about the science behind repetitive subconcussive impacts. We have someone coming in to talk about technology and business. We have people coming in to talk about different forms of trauma therapy, brain spotting, EMDR. We have people coming in to talk about the neck specifically. On the client side, we have someone coming to talk about mold and the impacts on the nervous system with that, because that seems to be showing up a lot more in the world today. We have people coming in, again, to talk about the neck and different forms of dizziness. We're going to have these amazing educative presentations for you. And because you hear me say it over and over again, I believe there is not just one path for people. I also want to give you the opportunity to try other practices that support people in their healing journeys, like sound healing, like breath work, like somatic release. And there's going to be these components brought into the virtual summit as well, because, my friends, there is not just one way to heal. There is not just one way to heal. And when you're working with persistent concussion in particular, yes, absolutely. If you're a physical therapist listening to this, or you're a chiropractor or a clinician of any sort listening to this, ensure that the individual is in what that you're assessing is in your wheelhouse. And if there's something within your wheelhouse, absolutely support it. And open your mind to the other tools, resources, strategies, things that might also support that client on healing. We say repeatedly in this space that the brain is complex, because it is. We're still learning everything about it. But then so often we say the brain is complex, but then the person that's saying that is the sole person that can then help people. There's something wrong with that. That picture is a little bit off sometimes, right? Persistent concussion requires a team. Yes, we have a traditional kind of team of what that looks like, but you can also include these holistic alternative therapies. If the client feels like it's supporting them, that's all that matters. So when you hear me say over and over again, yes, in my clinic, we blend science and spirit, because it's the science of the understanding how the eyeballs work. When the eyeballs have these involuntary movements, or we have these square wave jerks, or we have nystagmus, why is that happening, right? It's the science that tells me that when you don't perceive your world as vertical, when we remove visual stimuli, that is a scientific thing. And we're probably looking at the vestibular system and what part of the system we're looking at, right? When we can't move our head, or we can't coordinate our eyes and our neck together, how does that domino into how we function? The science guides me in building my treatment plans. The spirit, that belief in self, that belief in healing, that intuitive nature of listening and paying attention to what my client is saying and not saying, encouraging self-compassion, self-love, and belief and hope for my clients, and recognizing that for pretty much every single person, I am one individual on their team. And it is the combined efforts of all of us together that are going to help our clients move forward. And that if I am not the person that can help them from my skill set, You know damn well I'm not telling them this is as good as they're going to get because I can't help them, but I'm going to encourage them to not give up hope. I'm going to explain why I'm not the person. And I'm hopefully going to have enough knowledge to make some recommendations for them moving forward. But if I don't, even if I don't, no one is going to be this. I hope that no one is going to be the same person a year from now than they are today, because life happens and growth happens and change happens. So this is truly just a little, I guess, fired up episode. Probably because I heard it recently again, and every time I do, it just kind of lights that fire in my stomach. There is no one path to healing. And one of the biggest things you can do on this journey is start to believe and trust in yourself again. Yes, you turn to us for guidance and support and knowledge. And that is what we are here for. As clinicians, we are meant to walk this path with you, to support you, to guide you. We are not here to fix you, but to give you the tools and the opportunities to be able to serve yourself. All right, super duper short and sweet. Trust yourself. Know that you're not going to be the same person a year from now that you are from today, no matter what. As a clinician, please never say those words to somebody. And again, there is not one singular path to healing. Wishing you a marvelous Monday, but we'll see you soon. That's today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked what you heard, give us a like, give us a share, give us a tag on Instagram, and please never hesitate to reach out. We love communicating and connecting with you. Until next week, my friends, have a marvelous day.